So this session, we're going to talk about how to read a Keepa graph and also camel graph, just because they're very similar. So really simply, a Keepa graph, or rather Keepa.com, what they do is they'll track Amazon's products and they'll monitor the changes in sales rank and changes in price over time. So if you take a product and you want to know the history of it and say, well, oh, this product is a great rank, is this actually a good seller, or is this sales rank just a snapshot and it maybe never sell again? Because a lot of products on Amazon, it may have a good rank right now because someone happened to buy it, which will make the rank jump up against everything else in the category, and then it may never sell again and then slowly just trickle down. So I'll show some examples of both of those, a good product and some bad products, and things that are not as searchable. So on Keepa.com, you can just click on the search button, and I'm just going to paste in an ASIN that I took from this product Pie Face, which I know was a really popular item about 2 years ago. So if you search the product, you can see it gets a little bit crazy with all these little things, but you can filter out different things. Like on the right-hand side, you see what they have to offer. So I'm just going to hide, let's say, third party. I'm going to hide sales rank also at the moment, and I'm going to hide used as well. So what we're looking at now is the buy box price, FBA sellers, the MSRP, new sellers total, and Amazon. And the great thing about Keepa is they show Amazon in orange. So you can check the price over time, and you see like when the price spikes, and you can see what time of when it was during the year. And you can see all these gaps here when there's no orange is when Amazon sold out. And usually when that happens, you see a big price jump. So you see Amazon sold out at $15, $14.44. Suddenly the price jumps up to $21.99. And you can see then they came back in stock briefly, and then they sold out, et cetera, et cetera. You can customize this by day, week, month, 3 years, 3 months, year, and then total time. So it's really useful when you're looking at trying to track the history of products. Now, I'm going to bring back the sales rank because this is a good indication of figuring out what the sales velocity is. If you see the rank over time, you can see how consistent it is. So obviously this is a really hot product, or was a really hot product. The ranks are in the in the low hundreds for most of this time period. But you see once Amazon sells out and the price becomes, the price goes up, the rank is less volatile. The rank is now dropping down to 1,000, 1,200. Still a great rank for this type of product in this category. But you see when they can't get it from Amazon for $14.45 and your only options are $22, it's not as a hot seller anymore. And then once Amazon jumps back in stock, you see the rank again, becomes more volatile and high and has a better rank overall. If you don't look at the rank in this method, they have the option to sort it this way as well. So where the better ranks are lower because lower numbers are lower in the graph, it makes more sense numerically to look at this. But they show it this way because the higher it is on the graph, the better it is in their minds. So they do it reverse. But you have the option to switch between the two. Yes. Yeah. That's me.
These are all prices, or is that rank?
The green is rank.
So it's not price.
No, this just tracks. There's a correlation between the change in price.
Up by $25 at the time. It's not significant. It's not associated with the price at 25.
Well, not exactly. Yeah. This is a completely different graph. It's just they correct. Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying over here. Yeah. Yeah. They put it. What they did is on the right hand side. You see here, the right hand side is a sales rank. So these are the numbers, the ranks, and the left hand side is price.
So
yeah. Correct. And see if I swap these, it changes the order.
Sorry.
Yeah. No problem. Yeah. So I'm going to take another product now. Let's just take a Nike shoe. I'm going to take. Now, the interesting thing about shoes and clothing is that the ranks are harder to track with clothing because the rank is a factor of all the variations. So when you see a change in rank, let's say here, this is let's just say I've been here. The rank here was, where are you? 1,500, and you can see the fluctuations here. It goes if you follow the green marker. It changes. It's still a good seller. Like it looks like the rank is changing a lot. But if I look at the Amazon products page, look how many variations there are. All these color variations, and all these sizes. So when you see a rank that's great, you want to make sure that you're actually looking at variations that will sell, because at the end of the day, a rank of 1,200 in shoes is phenomenal. But if you're getting, if you're looking at clay green whites, oh, that's not a bad color, sizes, I don't know, let's say it's like a really low size. Size 6, let's say, well, that's actually not in stock, so it moved it. But if that's what you have to offer and you're able to buy that, this variation may never sell. So just looking at the Keepa graph or the camel graph doesn't really tell you much about this, because the rank is tied to every single variation. So I don't recommend really using Keepa and camel graph for sales rank for clothing or for products with variations. It's good to look at just to see if the product itself is selling well, but it won't be a good indicator for the specific variations you're looking at. And I'm going to do the same thing on camel.com. So Camel, they're slightly better with tracking sales rank overall, and they actually have the two ranks, or the two graphs separate. So they show the price history and the sales rank history. I actually have to log in to view the sales rank history. But you see here what Camel does. They don't like to track child ASINs, because the parent ASIN is not really an indicator of the rank for the specific product. So they don't have enough data. They don't track this, despite Keepa having it. But for a product like PieFace, let's take that same item, put it into Camel. I've seen very little, but almost every time I looked at a variation page for it, it just says that same notification that we don't track or have enough data. They may not, it may not track it on Camel. So what's good to look at for Camel with sales rank, they have a dedicated chart just for the rank changes. So here's PieFace. So obviously all these numbers are extremely low, but you see the change in rank, and you can see the drastic drop when the price. But I like having this graph like this. Despite having this all in one location, which is beneficial, it's easier to read this, in my opinion. And you can customize it, and it shows it a little bit bigger. So there's benefits to using both of them. Keepa may be easier just because it's all in one place. And what I also like about Keepa is that their Chrome extension is a lot better than Camel's Chrome extension. And I don't know if Melissa talked about it earlier, because I know she's going through some of the extensions. But if you go to a product page with the Keepa extension, it'll actually show up their graph right below here on the Amazon page. A little bit of a smaller version, so you don't have to go to the website and search it, but it'll populate the actual page with this, and you can customize it this way. So you can view the history on the page itself. So I want to find a good example of a product that sometimes can look good but isn't going to be a good seller, and I'm going to look at DVDs for this, because there's a lot of, as a lot of you know, Sam started this business with DVDs. Let's take a Harry Potter. So most Harry Potters are great sellers, but there are some versions that don't sell as well, that may look like they're great. So I'm going to take this one, let's say, Blu-ray Special Edition. Actually, this is a good one. So if I check this on Camel first, I'm going to check this on Camel. So let's say you're doing product research. So you have a product that you want to look to buy, and you see on Amazon the sales rank right now is, let's say, 30,000. If I check the sales rank history, I hope this is a good one. Yeah, this is not a bad one. So you see here, I'm looking at the last 6 months. So let's say you happen to find this product when the rank is 10,000 at its best. That seems like a really good rank. So you'd think, okay, I would buy this. Maybe I'll buy a lot of quantity for this one. But when you check on Camel, each of these spikes you can assume is when there are sales or when there's a few sales. So every time this trickles downward, there's less activity or no activity, because the rank is directly affected by how it relates against the other products in the category. So if it's trickling down, that means other products are selling faster, pushing it further downward. Once it makes a sale, it bumps it up further up the rank on the graph. So here you had a sale, it bumped up. Not much activity, sale. So when you're looking at 6 months, you count like all the spikes. So let's look at the last 3 months or last 1 month. Not exactly one sale. It's just right, because we're looking at this price range. If this was in the low hundreds, it's a different story, or low thousands. But I can assume that this may be one sale, maybe it's 2 or 3 sales that day, because they track at certain time intervals. So this could have been 3 sales this day, or could have been 1 sale a day. It's hard to tell. But you can infer at least how much activity there is. This is 1 month time frame. So if we're assuming that there's going to be 1 or 2 sales each spike, 2, 3, that's 6 a month. And that's just total sales of the product. That's not even including your share. You have to look at now how many people are selling this product, what the competition is. So if there's other people selling it, other FBA sellers, you may get, a fifth of this, which means you'll sell 1 a month. So is that a worthy investment? So even though it's a Harry Potter movie, which is still very popular, the Blu-ray, Order of the Phoenix, one of the earlier ones, this version, for whatever reason, doesn't have as much activity. But if we look at, let's say, this version, which has probably way more activity, it's also at a higher price, interestingly enough. It takes the same 3-month period, there's more activity, and there's lower ranks to begin with. So even more so, these spikes matter more because everything in this lower sales rank range has a higher sales velocity than everything in this higher sales rank range. So which means that a change from 5,000 to 4,000 means more than a change from 9,000 to 8,000 because it's competing against faster sellers. So the fact that it's able to jump that high and maintain it means there's more selling. So in 1 month now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it looks like 12 to 15 spikes, but each of these spikes is probably a better rank to begin, or maybe 3 to 4 sales. And again, this is just all estimation. This is not really definitely this many will sell, but you see there's more activity. And even if you look at the price history, the price may be more consistent on this. So it looks like the price consistently stayed at $11.88 in the last 3 months. Well, also because Amazon's on there. Another thing to think about. Do you want to compete with Amazon? So the graphs can be really useful for figuring out, going back in time and seeing how this product performed. And what's a good indication too is if you want to look for products that sold well during, let's say, Q4, you can look at last year's 4th quarter and see, well, how did the rank and prices change during the 4th quarter of last year? Do I think they're going to change again this year? Or let's say you have products that are boots that are winter season. You see that in the summer season, the rank and the price, well, the prices go up and the rank goes down. But if you see that when the winter season comes again, the price dropped, but it was still profitable, and the rank increased, or rather decreased, then that's something to look into as well. So it's always good information to have this to figure out how this product performs, what time frame, who's selling it, because you can even customize by adding and removing all these different features. Get rid of used, let's say, get rid of warehouse deals, get rid of, let's say you don't want to be merchant filled, you don't care about their prices, you want to just look at FBA and Amazon. It's an easier way of looking at this graph now. It looks like the price stayed consistent, rank fluctuated for whatever reason. I find them very useful information. I don't do much with tracking, but we have used that in the past. But you can monitor certain products and they'll notify you and email you if the price drops, or you can search for rank changes. I'm not going to talk too much about that because this is typically used for, if you're doing, let's say, Amazon flips or things like that. Because if you're monitoring something, the price drops, you want to get it while the price is low. But then Amazon flips is a whole other ballgame that we're not going to get into right now. So that was brief overview of Camel and Keepa. Any other questions in the meantime? Anything that you want me to go over or reiterate, or just regarding the graphs? It just makes it easier to look at, because if you're going to be FBA, right, that's your main competition, so there's no reason to look at used. Or, well, typically with, let's say, clothing and shoes won't have the ability to sell used. But let's say other products that can be sold as used, you're selling against the new market. So you don't care about what the used prices for this product was. You don't care about merchant filled because they're not your competition, most likely. But yeah, it's good to track against FBA and Amazon. And what I really like about the Keepa Graph is that when there's gaps in this orange shade, that means that Amazon sold out. And then there's going to be a time that you may be able to sell it when they're not in stock. This product actually doesn't have it, but the product I searched before. Hold on. So these gaps here. You see how this is orange here where the mouse is? And right here, I'll zoom in. Where it is. Here. So here's orange and here's white. Yeah. So orange is Amazon. That is Amazon.com. Yep, that's Amazon.com. So right here, that means Amazon was out of stock from May 25th to May 29th, it looks like, or whatever this date is. And then they're back in stock.
The white.
Yeah. The white is when they're out of stock. The orange means Amazon had it in stock. Yep, exactly. Just from Amazon.com. There were other FBA sellers here. If you see the blue, the blue is new. Right. So Amazon themselves is the orange. They indicate here. So if I hide everything else and just put orange on there.
And typically the wisdom is to not.
Well, if you see something that Amazon will sell out of stock frequently, that means that's not only an indicator that it's a fast seller, but then when they're out of stock, if they sell out of stock quickly enough and you can get something that's profitable, you won't be competing with them as much. So that's just something to think about when you're doing this tracking. So you see, or if you look at Amazon's price here, it was $12.39, then suddenly they jumped up to $14.60 and then randomly started raising their prices. You can check to see what the sales ranks were during these price raises and see if they still were holding consistent. Because sometimes Amazon just changes prices to check to see if they can get things to move better, or see if they can get, if they'll still sell the same at a higher price, and then if not, they have it's all automated in their system. So it'll automatically jump back down for the most part. I don't think no one's going through manually. But yeah, it's a good tool to track the history of price and sales rank on products, both Camel and Keepa. Keepa may be easier just because it's on one graph. Camel, typically for products that don't have variations, their sales rank, I prefer looking at their graphs because I just think they're easier to look at than looking at everything else on here. But if you want to just look at sales rank, you can hide everything else and then look at just sales rank and then customize the date range. And you can track the history and this and that.